Alrighty. I'm joined with the fabulous Soup today to talk about something very exciting for Age of Mythology. Voobly Balance Patch 6.0 is on the way. How you doing, my friend?
Hey, Boyd. Nice to be here. Yes, we're here for the VBP 6.0, and we've been working on this for I don't know, it's almost like 3 or 4 months at this stage, isn't it?
I mean, these sorts of things they take they take a while because everyone disagrees about everything. So in the end, you have to really talk it through. I think it's been a hot minute.
It
We've
has.
got a list.
We also had your tournament that we had to kind of finish before we
Hmm.
really started pumping out this one tournament, so
I'm sorry.
it is what it is.
um. All right. Well, let's kick into this. Well, before we get into the actual changelog, let's talk about some things about what the patch is, how it works, all that stuff. So, what's the goal of a Voobly Balance patch to use Soup?
Yeah, so I think historically, I've only been playing on VBP for the last 3 years.
Hmm.
I actually wasn't even there in the beginning, but historically, VBP has had this sort of philosophy where the patch has not it has not tried to sort of remake Age of Mythology into something else.
Hmm.
It's always tried to stay true to its roots. So there will be no major differences in the civs from one day to the next, and the biggest changes that has been in Voobly Balance patches has been something like Bolt not working on villagers anymore, or Shifting Sands not working on enemy villagers anymore. So like those are the big changes. But other than that, it's mostly just been stats, buffs, or nerfs.
Hmm.
So like that's the scope of the Voobly Balance patch.
Ah.
This was Chrono JJ, one of the big Voobly patch guys out there, always says is that we should let AOM be AOM.
Yeah, I think that's important, especially because there's a reason why we play the game. So when you do crazy things, you got to ask: is this really what people want, or what? What? But that's great. Let's move on. Let's to build on that. Um, balance in Age of Mythology is quite a difficult thing to achieve, and I think the balance for one person is different to balance for another person. For example, you could see that if a Civ is really good on water, but really bad on low hunt, but really good on high hunt, for example, and then eventually, like you look at the stats, it comes out to be 50%. Is that balanced? I don't know. What do you think balance is? What is your version of balance?
Yeah, so like with what you're saying there, like the prime example of that is probably Kronos,
Mm,
because a god like Kronos, you don't see people try harding. If they want to go number one on ladder, they're
mm,
never going to pick Kronos because he is kind of weak on land.
mm.
In fact, he's very weak on land. But then on water, if you see tournaments, if you know you're playing Mediterranean, if you know you're playing Midgard or whatever, or any of the other funky hybrid maps, you'll see people picking Kronos consistently,
Yeah.
and that is because Kronos is amazing on water.
Mm.
So if you do know the map beforehand, then Kronos is really good. So that's like, yeah, that's just the way it is. There's not really much we can do because Age of Mythology is an interesting game in the sense that there's so many things that are busted, so many OP broken things compared to say Age of Empires 2, because we've got the myth units and we've got the god powers.
Mm.
So trying to make everything balanced will inevitably lead us down a road where Age of Mythology becomes more like Age of Empires. And we don't want that either.
Yeah. Fair enough.
So yeah, like what is balance in Age of Mythology? Like it is just ensuring that every god should be pickable, and especially when you have your tournaments with all kinds of varying formats. We see a lot of Gaia right now, well, because people are forced to pick Gaia, but
Mm.
we do see people like Kvoth picking Gaia still, and like we every god is pretty much represented in your tournaments. So like in one way or another, we do have some form of balance, although we are right now at a stage where in 5.0 we have a very good idea of who the top three gods are, for example.
Oh, that's a pretty good segue. There's let's jump into the individual change log and see if we can if we can get those explained. Hey, I'm gonna jump and change scenes. Bam! Change log in your face. First change. I've kind of separated these into their categories. Apologies for the Let me hit this button as well. Is this going to work? Apologies for the crudeness of the change log, but I did this in 5 seconds before the stream. Alrighty, first change. Let's talk a little bit about Greek HUSKSUPPE. No attack in the archaic age.
Yeah, so this one, set players and Atlantean players in particular will be very happy about, because this Kataskopos unit can, like, if you have an Oracle Scout in your and you're scouting, say, your Greek enemy's gold mine, they can send your Kataskopos over and harass your Oracle, and they can take down like 50 HP, so like 60% of your Oracle HP before it's even back home and in safety. And what that means is you're going to have to build a new Oracle when you want to valorize them when you hit Classical Age. Or for set, obviously, you have your priest and you want to convert animals, but it's impossible with the Kataskopos there. Also, you see stuff like Kataskopos harassing a pharaoh while it's empowering a granary. Just super obnoxious. So, yeah, we're removing it.
Yeah, there's a lot of... it's definitely probably the thing that I get the most frustrated about playing Age of Mythology, so I'm glad you guys went with that one. Next change. Odysseus and Hippolyta range in the Classical Age is going from 18 to 16, returning back to 18 in the Heroic Age.
Yeah, so this change doesn't sound like much, but what it is intended for is, especially in the Zeus or Poseidon versus Egyptian matchup, sometimes if you're Egyptian and you have a forward gold mine, you can get so hard abused by the Odysseus or Hippolyta with that 18 range, and they can just sit outside of the gold mine and continually hit your gold miners. And what we're doing with this change is we're giving -2 range, so that in order for that to happen, you're going to have a really, really heavily exposed gold mine. Like, it does happen sometimes, but we're ensuring that the games will be fewer than they are now. And then the change, honestly, outside of that particular matchup, outside of that particular example, when you have a really exposed gold mine, this change doesn't really change much, because going from 18 to 16 range in the Classical Age, it's all right. And they get the range back in Heroic Age, by the way. So
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Let's move on. Hades. Hades is the big terrifying god right now. I think everybody is kind of on the same page when they say Hades is a god that seems to be winning way too much than every other god. I don't know if you agree with that, but we got some Hades changes. Shades specifically getting a pretty big nerf here. Can you walk us through what's going on?
yeah, so no, I agree with you that Hades, I said there were 3 top gods, but if you had to reduce it down to 1 top god, I think most people would say Hades by now. And I know for me, it's so frustrating when you try hard on ladder. The few times you do try hard on ladder, inevitably you just run into Hades players. And for most people, their only real counter is to play Odin, because Odin is a counter to Hades. But other than that, there's no real good counter pick to Hades. So he definitely needed a nerf. And let me see what we have first on the list here. Shades HP from 100 to 90. So it's a 10% HP nerf. Shades, they're free, and they are super, super strong. They don't have a counter. So if you have Egyptian Axemen, Norse throwing Axemen, or stuff like this, they don't get bonus attack against them. And you can really feel it that they have no counters. So we're nerfing the spawn rate, and we're nerfing the HP.
It's going to be good. You're going to be able to kill the Shades faster, and there are going to be fewer of them. That seems like a step in the right direction. Uh,
And yeah, and then the last nerf to Hades is the Chiron buff revert
mm,
from 5.5 speed currently to 5.3. And like it says, it is a revert. So this is like it was back in the ESO days. This is an old Woobly fan patch that made it from 5.3 to 5.5. We're now reverting it to a 5.3 speed. And basically, what it does is a Hibicon has a speed of 5.5. So now, if you want to add in Chiron to your rating group, you are going to slow down
mm.
your rating group. So if you want that hero, that ranged hero in your rating group, your rating group is going to be slower. And that's just, yeah, that's pretty much the main point of that nerf.
I think it looks to me like that there's a little bit of the speedy myth units, like your 5.5 speed myth units, like Valkyrie, they're going to be able to get away from Chiron,
Yes, that's true
which
as
will be
well.
a little bit nicer.
Yeah.
Looks like we've got a bit of a quality of life buff for Poseidon, Lord of Horses, a little bit of a reduction in cost.
Yeah, so Lord of Horses is a bit of a meme upgrade. No one ever got this upgrade because what does it cost? 150 food, 10 favor, and
Mm,
all it does is provide your Hibicons with 4 line of sight. For reference, you know that relic that you get that gives all of your units plus 8 line of sight.
yep.
Yeah, that relic it gives plus 8 line of sight, and it's quote unquote free. It's something you can pick up on the map. But we do like the idea of giving line of sight to the horses because they are used for raiding,
Mm,
and without that upgrade they have very low line of sight. So what we're doing is we're giving it 50 food, 2 favor cost, very similar to the low-key Eyes in the Forest
mm.
price that gives line of sight to infantry, and it's the same 3 line of sight that Eyes in the Forest from Loki gives as well.
Yeah. And then we get Polyphemus with the building. Does Polyphemus have bonus versus buildings? I think he does. I can't remember. There was something about Polyphemus crush damage, and he is reducing his bonus down by 100%. What's with this
Yeah.
change?
Well, it's just because Poseidon is Greek and Greek is extremely strong.
Mm,
So when we're giving Poseidon this buff to Lord of Horses, he is going to get stronger because his rating is going to be a lot more effective. And at the same time, like yeah, Poseidon is still a strong god. So giving Lord of Horses some benefit, we're going to slightly nerf Polyphemus. Polyphemus is still going to be very strong versus buildings.
mm,
He does have quite high hack damage,
mm.
plus some crush damage, and then on top of that, 200% bonus versus buildings.
Yeah. For reference, I believe the numbers are the Polyphemus does 20 crush on 5.0, and then it goes down to 15 crush, or maybe it's something like that. Maybe it goes from 15
I
crush down
remember
to
reading
10
those.
crush.
Yeah, I
It's like
remember.
5 less crush damage a second from memory.
Yeah, exactly. Like it sounds like a lot, maybe from 300% bonus to 200% bonus, but just keep in mind some of the building damage that Polyphemus deals is from crush damage in his kit already.
Mm,
So like it's not like we're reducing that much, but
mm,
it's something
yeah.
too.
Alrighty. This one, spicy change. This is something that I was talking about on at some point, and I said maybe we might be able to make this work. Meteor, 3 charges for Egyptian, but you only get 1 with the Meteor. So you get 3 hits on the Meteor, but instead of it being random. Talk me through this one.
Well, I haven't even tried this.
Mm.
Did you make this, or did you get help from outside? What's the story?
Did I make it? Yeah, it's very simple. You just grab, the SPC Meteor
Oh yeah, from
from
the editor.
from the editor. You can throw that. I threw that code in, and then I just changed the numbers on it down to what the numbers for the normal Meteor was. So you basically just
Okay.
get 3 SPC Meteors, but they're doing the same damage that the original Meteor does.
Interesting. So yeah, Meteor right now is a very underwhelming god power. Thoth, when you look at his technologies, his myth unit, Phoenix is a great myth unit, but people rarely ever pick Thoth, and if they
Mm,
do, it's kind of a flex because 99% of the times Horus or Osiris is simply better than Thoth. So the big thing that kind of uh, pulled Thoth back from being viable was the fact that Meteor was a shitty god power.
mm,
So we're trying to make it better, and we'll see how this goes. 3 second cooldown is barely anything, so you'll still have that rain of Meteor
mm.
possible.
I think the idea with the 3 second cooldown is just that it takes about 3 seconds for the actual charge to hit when you click it. So
Hmm.
you don't want to have it go boom, boom, boom. You want it to go boom and then boom and then boom. So you
Sure.
can use them all after each other, or you can use one charge here, then one charge there, and then one charge there if you feel like. So you have that kind of decision making ability inside of the god power if you wish.
Yeah. So it says 900 crush, 100 hack.
Mm.
Do you know? Can you take down a TC with 3 meteors then,
You
or
can take down an Atlantean town center, but you cannot take down a normal town center. So it does around about 2100 damage.
okay? So still, if you want to take down that TC, you need to go for tornado.
Yeah, basically.
But
Or
with
you need
meteor, you
siege as well.
yeah, yeah,
But I will say this is very very good at killing units as well. If you hit like a bunch of Toxotes, for example, you can kill all the Toxotes with a charge. Not all of them, but like in that small circle. So it'll be interesting. It might be
Urush.
too strong. It might be too weak. It might be getting reverted.
Urush says in chat, you can kill 3 Titan gates. Imagine in a team game,
That's true.
one guy picks Thoth, and all 3 guys will just go for a Titan gate. And like, yeah, you can potentially deny 3 Titan
Well,
gates with it.
I mean, 1000 HP on a Titan Gate doesn't take long to amass. So,
Yeah, yeah. So there is counter to it, is what you're saying.
yeah. All right, let's keep going. Isis, very simple, very like seems like a bit of a QOL quality of life change. Obelisk -5 gold.
Yeah, well, it doesn't sound like much -5 gold, but just keep in mind, an obelisk used to be it is 15 gold
Mm,
for regular
mm,
Egyptian civilization, but with ISIS now you get -10 gold,
mm,
so it goes from 15 to now 5
mm,
gold. And what it means is that even on a water map, like usually if you play ISIS on a water map now, you'll just go scouting around like almost as if it's an Atlantean oracle. But now I think you will be incentivized to still use obelisks for scouting. And even on a land map, like say that you build 7 obelisks in your K gauge, that's 35 gold.
mm.
And that's honestly noticeable.
It's big. Like if I mean, I take my if I play set right, I don't build any obelisks. I have enough gold, barely, to get monument, temple, town center. And you
Yeah.
play ISIS and you go, well, I just threw away 50 gold on obelisks. Now I'm 50 gold short on my town
Yeah.
center. Yay.
Yeah, yeah, and it's something that the newbies in particular don't really take note of how much gold they actually
Mm,
pour into obelisks. So
yeah.
yeah, 5 gold obelisk. I think it's a cool change, and yeah, it's definitely a buff to Isis. It's her early game is going to be smoother as a result of this.
Yeah. Cool. Alrighty. That's the end of the Egyptian changes. Odin. Great hunt. Getting hit. Smack.
Yeah, so we once again I mentioned 3 top tier gods in Asian mythology. Hades, obviously the first one. Odin is the second dominant god right now.
Mm,
And one of the big reasons why he's dominant is because of this Great Hunt god power. Because if you're on a Blue Lagoon and there are 2 giraffes, then your opponent is going to have to move from that pack of 2 giraffes over to a next one before they can advance to the second age.
mm,
Whereas with Odin, you have Great Hunt, so you don't even have to move those villages before you can advance. So you get an incredibly smooth archaic gauge.
mm.
And honestly, with this change, you're still able to do that on a map like Blue Lagoon with if you have 600 food in the beginning. But at the very least, you're not going to get an additional two goats as a result of this.
Mm. Yeah, I think one thing that kind of always, not always, but it does kind of annoy me about playing Odin is if I want to be aggressive against Odin and I want to hit the secondary hunt, I know that I actually can't hit that hunt till about 6 minutes into the game. They don't
Yeah,
Odin's not left their base until then. So I have to like completely change the strategy to like
yeah.
hit
Yeah,
that
and
timing is totally different to every other
that's
system I've
only
ever played.
that's only the early game impact. There's also impact later on in the game. So like on a map like Alfheim with medium hunt, just the sheer fact that you have 600 or 750 more food before
Mm,
you need to go on your cows means your cows will be fatter
mm.
by the time you have to go on them. Means you have more time before you need to do your farm transition. So it's like it's just like a snowball effect that really just helps Odin throughout the game.
Yeah. Okay. Well, and we've also got an Odin Raven line of sight nerf.
Yeah, so like great nerfing Great Hunt, just barely. It's like 750 to 600 food. Like I said, it's still a you still do have the nice archaic gauge with Odin, even if it's 600 food. So we're also nerfing the line of sight for Ravens, meaning the sort of almost map hack that you have with Odin is going to be nerfed ever so slightly here. It's from 20 to 15, so like a 25% line of sight range.
Mm.
Obviously, you can still scout for town centers if your opponent is doing town centers. You can still see which military buildings they're building and so on. But it is just going to be yeah, a less of a map hack tool than it is right now.
Yeah, it's good. The consistency that Odin gets from Great Hunt and the Ravens is a big one. So it's nice to see that kind of get hit a little bit.
Yeah.
All right, Thor. You're gonna like this one. Thor Armory Tech Research Speed. Zhunk. Wait,
Yes.
that
I
should say
love this
minus.
one.
That should say minus 50%. But anyways,
Oh yeah.
it's faster.
Well, it does say speed plus 50%, so I guess
Oh,
it's
okay.
kind of true.
All right.
Either way, if it took a minute to get a copper mail upgrade before, now it takes 30 seconds. And the thing about armory upgrades in Age of Mythology, we were talking about this in the beginning, like
Mm,
we cannot change fundamentals of Age of Mythology.
mm.
However, what we can do here is say Thor should have good armory upgrades. And since we cannot change the way that the armor works in AOM, at least we can give him something kind of spicy here. And what I imagine this change will give to Thor is, say you're versus a Hades player,
Mm.
and you hit 115 population. You know there's a big fight incoming, and you don't really have any ways of really getting advantage over your opponent. At least now you can hit that Pierce armor upgrade, and you can go for a big timing attack when you get maybe a weapons upgrade as well.
Yep.
And it's just going to be smoother and hit so much faster than it would before.
Yeah, I think the time. I think the upgrades are like 30 seconds, 40 seconds, 50 seconds. So now for Thor
Okay.
to be 15 seconds for first line, second line would be like 20 seconds, the third line would be 25 seconds. So it's
Yeah.
quite a bit faster. It's quite a bit
Yeah.
faster.
And I think it's going to be fun to play with, because you can even get two Pierce armor upgrades in, right?
Yeah.
If it's only take 15 for the first one, 20 for the next, like you can really surprise your opponents here.
Hmm.
So instead of getting advantage by getting a TC, here you actually have the option to go for armory upgrades, and the effect is going to kick in very quickly.
True. Alrighty. Let's get to the ones where everyone's going to start complaining. Atlantean. What's going on? Promethean speed nerf.
Yeah, so okay, we covered Hades, we covered Odin. The third god that is extremely popular and kind of dominant in pro play is Uranus.
Hmm.
But Uranus, man, we were discussing this in our group, and Uranus is notoriously difficult to nerf.
Hmm.
You look at his stats, you look at his bonuses, and like Sky Passage, we're not going to nerf that. No one really uses that.
Hmm.
He's got the TC line of sight. You
Hmm.
can't really do anything about that. What else does he have? Movement speed. You could potentially go from 10% movement speed to something like 7 or 8 or something, but it's not a very nice nerf to him. So instead, what we're going to do is we're going to nerf Promethean speed.
Mm.
And then, if you want to move around the map as Uranus, you can still do that really quickly because you got that really nice movement speed to your human units. But your Promethean is going to slow you down.
Mm.
So if you want the power of the really nice Atlantean army, that is going to be slower than it is now.
Atlantean haters, rejoice.
What is the next one? Rare Horns of Consecration available in Temple. This is the upgrade that gives a faster favor trigger than it is than what you usually have.
Mm.
But this was only researchable in the town center before, and you don't want to spend a minute of precious time center time on this upgrade because first of all, it's not even that powerful. This upgrade. But yeah, second of all, you want to use your TC for getting citizens out or for advancing through the ages or whatever it is. Now
Yeah.
it is available in the temple, so you can get a slightly faster trigger for 200 gold. It's pretty nice.
Yeah, I mean, you say it's not amazing. I actually looked at the stats and it's like, you know what? This upgrade is actually worth picking up. It's actually pretty good. If
Yeah.
you have 3 town centers, it's just that by the time you pick it up, there's not really a whole lot of stuff that you want to buy with it. Like you don't.
No.
I mean, what are you gonna do? Spam Lampedes? Maybe, but at least now you're gonna be able to get that upgrade as soon as you hit the heroic age.
Yeah.
If you want to.
Actually, I
It's not
think
going to
maybe
hurt your economy.
automatons. Imagine like going heroic age fairly early, getting this upgrade, and you already have the automatons.
Mm,
Yeah, you already have a lot of automatons out. You can keep pumping out those units, and they only cost like 80 gold or something
that's
for
right.
Kronos.
Very cheap.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Uranus. Shockwave doesn't affect villages.
Yes. So yeah, we have to nerf Uranus somehow.
Mm,
So we nerf the Promethean speed, and then like what else can we really do to this guy? Because he is obnoxious to play against. He is so fast, and he kills your villagers, and he's getting an economic advantage over you. What are we gonna do? So what we can do is we can make Shockwave not affect villagers.
mm.
So you still have 3 charges of Shockwave, but you can only use them for fighting purposes, not for picking off enemy villagers.
Yeah. I mean, if you take a look at some of the other early game god powers out there, you've got Bolt doesn't affect villages. You've got Shifting Sands doesn't affect villages. Um, I mean, you've got some other ones that do affect villages, so it's kind of arbitrary at the moment, but it does move into that line of trying to not end the game straight away based on certain
Yeah,
things,
so
right?
like oftentimes as Uranus, you'll advance it 4 minutes, valorize your oracles, get the Promethean for free, and then sometimes you can get 2 really easy villager picks off at like 4:30,
Yeah,
and you're just so far behind if that's happening to you.
yeah. All right, Kronos. Oh, big Kronos buff here. Buff Kronos myth unit speed plus 20%.
Yes, so it's 10% right now. We're giving it a buff to 20%. And one part of this is because we're nerfing Promethean speed, and that kind of sucks because that's a Kronos nerf. Like
Mm,
he's not in need of a nerf. So Kronos Prometheans will be about the same as it is now, an ever so slight nerf, but very very unnoticeable, I think.
mm.
But for me, the most interesting thing here is like automatons with plus 20% speed. They are going to be able to maneuver around the map really quickly.
Yep. Yeah, I must say I've had some experience against some players playing with automatons, and they can be really strong, and I'm excited to see Kronos players fiddling around with Leto a little bit more to kind of
Yeah, I hope so. I hope to see that.
distinguish
And also
themselves a
just
bit from Uranus, right?
I also just want to say, like, plus 20% bonus myth unit speed, it sounds like a lot, but just keep in mind what are the other myth units that Cronus has access to? It's Behemoth,
Mm,
Satyr,
mm,
Argus,
mm,
Hecagigantes.
mm.
Like, these myth units, if you get plus 20% bonus movement speed to them, doesn't matter too much.
Yeah, for sure. And then a final one,
But I want to say, I
Stonewall.
want to say,
Okay, all right.
I want to say about you can trade her like a chimera. That's going to be interesting. So like you trade her
Yes.
chimera and it gives plus 20% bonus movement speed, or a battle boar or something like that.
Yeah. It's gonna be fun for sure. I mean, hopefully, we see some more Kronos, and the Kronos players are happy to have that extra bonus, and no one else is like, hey, it's impossible to kill Kronos now. We'll have to wait and see, won't we? Stonewall upgrade nerf, ever so slightly.
Yeah, so like this is a small change. You don't even see this upgrade very often, but when you do, it's just so annoying. And I actually begin to see people using this a bit more than they used to
Mm,
because they realize it's such a strong upgrade actually. A wall has 600 HP. When you get this upgrade, it goes from 600 to 1200 HP.
yeah.
And like when you have players who make double, triple, quadruple layers of walls, like it's so annoying to play against.
I think so too. I mean, if this was my patch, I'd be like gutting walls, just gut them. Just if we actually tried that once in the history of the VBP balance patch, I remember, and it wasn't a amazing. It wasn't with it just didn't come with amazing success, and I think it got reverted
Okay.
to some degree. So I like that this is not a nerf to walls, so to speak. It just slows down the obnoxiousness of walls a little bit in your games. Like you're going to be seeing 300 food, 300 gold, thinking, "Hey, I could get stonewall upgrades, or I can get heavy infantry. Which one am I going to pick?" So I think this is good.
Yeah, I think it's a good change too. Like no one serious will hate on this because it's just one of the more annoying aspects of Age of Mythology we're trying to nerf here.
Yeah. Alrighty, that's all of our changes for 6.0. It's a fairly small change log, but I think that just goes to show how balanced in a way the VBP balance patch uh has brought the game to be. I have a couple more questions before we finish up here.
Yeah.
Map pool. I don't know if we actually settled on anything. Is there any intention to change anything in the map pool, or are you going to stick with the same maps we've been playing on for the past 20 years?
I don't think we came up with anything. Like we talked about Gold Rush would be a nice map
Yep.
addition. Some people mentioned Calm Shores. I'm not sure. I think it's a bit too similar to Anatolia.
Mm,
But also Mega Random could
mm,
be an interesting addition. So I think, if anything, Gold Rush. I think this is pretty much unanimous agreement that it's a good map. And the real nice thing about Gold Rush is that all civs kind of fare pretty well there.
mm.
And for Mega Random, obviously the same. You don't know what you're getting, so can be good for any god.
Yeah, I think personally Gold Rush would be really nice to see.
Yeah. So yeah, we didn't actually agree on this, but we can almost do this on the spot. Gold Rush, Mega Random, that's what I would vote for.
Yeah, well, maybe we can do a cheeky community poll and see what people like.
Yeah, yeah, good idea.
Alrighty. Is this going to be the final patch before retold, or is there a chance here that we're going to see a 6.1 if things don't go quite as you expect?
Yeah, so I don't think there's going to be another similar sizable patch as this one. We did make some kind of interesting changes here. So, like the shockwave can be very controversial. The
Mm,
meteor could potentially be controversial, and who knows? Maybe Kronos automatons are going to be extremely busted. Like it is a if it does come up that something is way out of line, obviously we're going to have to make a 6.1.
mm.
I don't think there's going to be a 7.0. The idea is that this is just sort of a small patch, exactly a patch that you put on until we get retold. So we don't want to change the game. We just want those last few months we've got here until retold to be nice and enjoyable.
Oh, wonderful. Alrighty. And I guess, because I got you here, uh,
Yeah.
with retold coming, what what are you expecting balance to look like? And what sort of approach do you want to see? Seeing as now, like, well, with retold, the balancing will come out of the community's hands and go into the developers' hands. What sort of approach would you personally want to see the developers taking with balance?
Well, my background is I played Age of Mythology as a kid, and then I played some League of Legends, and then I came back and I played Age of Mythology. So those are the two games I've played. And let me just tell you, going from League of Legends, where you have patches every month or two, to going back to Age of Mythology, where people are so conservative
Mm.
about any sort of changes. I dislike it. I like to see constant changes. I want to see the meta develop all the time, and I hope that the developers are very active so that we can get a lot of meta developments all the time, so it doesn't become stale. What do I expect? I don't know, but that's what I hope.
Yeah, I think I'm on the same page there. Like a little bit more craziness, but also if something's really busted, give it a big nerf bat. Go and help some of the bad stuff out. Big changes is more fun for me, but I know that it
Yeah.
can be difficult to really want that.
One thing I want to say is like it is funny about Hades. We mentioned he is the
Mm,
strongest god right now, but it's only in like the recent years since Nolus in particular really popularized him.
mm,
So there is a case to be made for not making big radical changes all the time. So people can sort of develop the meta slowly over time and eventually figure out, hey, Hades is actually busted. Hello. So like, yeah, that is obviously an interesting dynamic, but at the same time, I do wish things went faster.
yeah. Oh well. That's it. That's all we got for today. Hopefully the hopefully the patch is somewhat appreciated and that the changes do push the game in a certain direction. Help out with some stuff, and we see some new things happening, some new gods coming onto the scene. Whenever these changes come out, you got to give it a little bit of time to kind of settle and see what's actually going on before you can actually say anything about what's changed. Uh, the patch is probably going to be out within the next week. I don't know when it would be the quote unquote default option. As with all of the patches on Vubly, you can play no patch rated, you can play 3.0 rated, you can play 5.0 rated. It's completely fine. Obviously, the hope is that 6.0 is the default option that everyone wants to play on, and hopefully that goes well.
Yeah, let's hope so.
All right.
I'm interested in seeing how it goes, anyways.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to playing around with Kronos, with Thor. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks for joining me, Soup. I'll let you go to sleep. I know it's getting late for you, but
Yeah,
appreciate it. All right.
no problem. My pleasure.
Okay.
See you, Boyd.
Bye for now.